I'm Karmel Larson with Brigham Larson Pianos, and this is
Abby Larson.
Also with Brigham Larson Pianos, our daughter of Brigham Larson. And this video is about 15 years overdue. It is time for the official Larson family heirloom piano to be rebuilt.
So yeah, we're sitting in front of a 5-generation piano. I think it was first owned and purchased in early 1900s by my great-great-great-grandma Sue.
How many greats? It's my great-grandma, so it's your double great. So this will be now a 5-generation piano. So let's go through the owners. Or do you know them? Maybe you could.
Let's try. Okay. It started with Grandma Sue. She had it, and she was famous for playing 12th Street Rag on it in her living room, and everyone would come and dance around it. And then when she outgrew it, she gave it to her daughter, Grandma Muggy,
who was Leona.
May.
My grandma.
And she loved it and played on it. And then she gave it to my grandma, Grandma Diney.
My mom.
Once she outgrew it. And Grandma Diney played on it, and she loved it for a little while, but then
So Grandma Diney got it when she was first married.
As a wedding gift.
A wedding gift, yes.
And so she played on it. It was her first piano, but then times got tough financially, and she sold it because she didn't understand the sentiment of a family piano.
Well, and they had limited resources and limited space. So those two things combined, and she reached out to other family members, anybody want this piano? And nobody had space or wanted it at the time. So she's like, she was young and, so she's like, okay, well, I guess I'll sell it.
But it was good too. It went to a home, they were happy with it, a family, and they played it and loved it. And it went through a fire and a flood, I think. And
a flood and a paint job.
A flood and a paint job.
Between the two of us, we'll get the story.
Yeah, there you go. So then finally this family, when they were done with it and their kids were grown, they remembered that it was a family piano and that my grandma had sold it to them. So she called my grandma up and asked if she wanted to buy it back. And at this point, my grandma had grown a little bit and had a soft spot in her heart for sentimental things. And
I think she'd actually looked for it. She had regretted it always over the years and had on occasion tried to find the person that she sold it to and just figured it was lost forever and she would never see that piano again. But this person had such foresight. If you ever buy someone's family heirloom piano and they're selling it to you, you might want to keep their contact information because when you're done with it, they might want it back in the future. That's what happened with us.
So she reached out and called my grandma and she bought it back in an instant. She was so happy. And then this was the piano that was in their house that my mom played on growing up, that Grandma Diney learned to play on.
So when we got it back into our family, it was not in good shape. The paint job had worn out, the flood had done its thing. I think the inside is still kind of flooded out and needs some work, but Grandma Diney, my mom, Diana Green, she did pay to have it stripped and refinished, but that was now, let's see, I'm older. I think it was 30 years ago. So this was brand newly refinished by my mom when I started taking piano lessons. But 30 years, the refinishing doesn't last very long. We'll do some close-ups of the piano and see how bad of shape that refinishing is in now. But at the time when we got it back and I started lessons with Ms. Clara Deckard, who came to our home, it was in perfect shape. And so it was very special for me when I was in high school.
And so that was the 3rd generation, and then for your
I was the
wedding,
4th.
It was given, no, not for your wedding, but a few years later, when Grandma Diney was done with it, one of her downsizes, she passed it on to my mom, and it's been in our family ever since.
We were newlywed-ish, still in that era. And then we kind of grew out of it also only because we happen to have a lot of pianos in our family, and so it's been in storage for so once we had a few grand pianos in the house and there wasn't space for this one, we knew we wanted to rebuild it, but it has been in storage for a few years waiting for the 5th generation to one day have a home of their own, which hasn't happened yet, but we're thinking that's likely to happen soon. So it's time to get this piano rebuilt and ready for the 5th generation.
So I've never really much played on this piano growing up because we had so many others, but I always heard stories about it and heard my grandma Diney talk about it.
You
So
played
when
on
I
it when
heard,
you were little.
yeah,
You played on it for like your first 8 years of life, and then you were kind of spoiled with grand pianos ever since.
but now that I know the story and the history and all the love and care and everything that's gone into this piano, there's no other piano that I would rather have. It's gonna be beautiful.
So it's time to get it rebuilt, finally. So, after video coming soon.